Mom snaps photo of kids at beach, then realizes what else she caught. They hadn't been to the beach in months, and she knew her daughter's mind would implode if she didn't at least have an hour to play in the sand under the radiant South Carolina sun. But the day they'd planned to go out had its surprise waiting for them. Regardless, they managed to visit the beach. What she'd capture on her camera would set the country ablaze. Shonda Jackson had been a single mom for most of her daughter Lily's life. A personal assistant at a prestigious interior design firm, Shonda had done everything to give her daughter the life of her dreams. They lived quiet lives in a nice neighborhood in South Carolina with their dog Fufu, who made up the third member of their family. But as summer drew near, something would happen that would fling them into the country's center stage. Shonda, Lily, and Fufu were the perfect trio. Their family dynamic was a well-oiled machine that made everything easier for Shonda to take care of her daughter and dog. But although life was perfect for them, a glaring issue would take over everyone's life, including Shonda and her family, forcing them to remain indoors for months. Like everywhere across the globe, governments had banned going out unnecessarily. This meant that the things Shonda and her family loved doing, like going hiking, to the movies, and most importantly, to the beach, were off the table. The sudden rules and regulations shook Shonda to her core for someone who'd grown up near the ocean. But she understood that it was for the best and stayed home. But everything would soon change. It was almost 2 years since the government had mandated social distancing and staying indoors. But slowly, the world was coming back to life. When the government announced that people could return to the streets again, Shonda's family was beside itself with joy. They'd spent months cooped up in their house, and now they could leave. They had no clue what was waiting for them on the outside. The first thing Shonda and her daughter did was plan to spend an entire day, or maybe 5, at the beach. They had lengthy discussions about what they'd do once they were there. What would they eat and who would they meet? They mapped everything down, not knowing that South Carolina's Myrtle Beach had other plans for them. D-Day came for Shonda's family, and the 3 family members quickly got ready for a drive that would deposit them at Myrtle Beach, where they'd spend their day. They packed all they'd need and got their outfits ready. But as Shonda was carrying everything to the car, she realized that the blue sky above her was quickly hewing dark. Shonda, Lily, and Fufu sat in their living room, watching the rain pound their neighborhood throughout the day. They'd hoped it would be a slight shower, only for it to double in ferocity and cancel all their plans. But although the rain fell harder as the day tilted toward a late afternoon, Shonda and her daughter didn't take off their beachwear. They watched movies, made cookies as they'd been doing over the last few months, and waited for it to subside. It was almost 5 in the evening when the rain stopped. Lily and Fufu didn't wait for the last drop to fall, as they were already in the car before the sky cleared up. Sharing their enthusiasm, Shonda hopped into the vehicle and quickly drove to Myrtle Beach. But as they neared the inviting sandy shore, they noted something that had eluded them throughout the day. The entirety of Myrtle Beach was as dry as a bone. The heavy downpour only affected Shonda's neighborhood and not the beach. Shonda hated that she'd spent the day at home instead of asking around if the rains had also taken over the beach. But as she was still deep in thought, something happened that snared her attention. This adorable boy walked up to Lily and Fufu and introduced himself. He had a shark tooth around his neck, which he quickly showed to Lily. After a brief smile-fueled conversation, the boy and Lily parted ways. Shonda was surprised by the interaction because she'd never seen the boy before. But something else happened that made her mouth fall open. The boy suddenly showed up again. He came sprinting with a bright smile and seemingly in slow motion. He called out Lily's name, who turned to him with her lips curled. The two shared another brief conversation centered around the boy's cool necklace and how it gave him superpowers. Sensing they were about to storm off to play, Shonda knew she had to do something or lose this moment forever. With permission from the boy's mom, Shonda asked the boy and Lily if she could snap a photo of them. Without any hesitation, the two positioned themselves near each other and cracked smiles fit to light up the evening. Shonda's heart swelled at that moment, and as the two went to play along the beach with Fufu, she stared at the photo with parted lips. But it would only get better. As darkness began swallowing the evening, Lily and the boy shared almost 20 goodbyes and hugged for a long time. Shonda and the boy's mom were left speechless, each knowing that the two had never met. Despite this glaring fact, they seemed like they'd known each other for years. As Shonda drove back home that night, she couldn't help but think about the photo she'd taken. One of the best parts of the photo was that Lily and the boy had embraced each other, despite being from different cultural backgrounds. Their connection had been instant, superseding race and skin color. Shonda shared the story on her Facebook, setting the entire country ablaze with praise for Lily and the boy. In Shonda's words, "This is a moment that we humans can understand as simply seeing no color lines, no judgment, no race, no hate, no shades.